Hi everyone, I'm happy to hold this great event about using legal tech in law firms, marketing and employer branding with our speaker, Jacek Stanislavski. Nice to meet you, Jacek.
Yes, nice, Mykyta. Nice to meet you, Mykyta. Thank you for having me here, and good morning or good evening, everyone.
Yeah, Jacek is a lawyer who specializes in legal marketing. Over 10 years ago, he co-founded a legal marketing agency based in Poland, and currently with a team of over 20 professionals in fields like communication, design, social media, IT, project management, and marketing analytics. They help open-minded lawyers to come up with new service ideas and bring them to the market. And meeting moderator, it's me, Mykyta Zhukov, CEO at Zhukov Legal Family Office, co-founder of the Legal Design Project, chairman of the Ukrainian Bar Association Committee on Constitutional Law, Administrative Law and Human Rights, coordinator of Ukrainian Bar Association Young Lawyers Forum. In recent years, we have heard the term legal tech in every possible context. At the same time, few law firms communicate the fact of using advanced technology as their competitive advantage to clients and a benefit to new team members. So let's talk about using legal tech you already have in a way you never thought of. Jacek, you are welcome. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much for this kind introduction. Truth to be told, I'm honored to be here, that I can address the members of the Ukrainian Bar Association and all the guests that may be here as well. Personally, and as a company, we've been supporting Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. So, and we still do. So hopefully, this is a small brick in the wall that we can give in terms of knowledge. And yes, after this introduction, I just wanted to say that there is a reason why I'd like to address you. Because for the last 10 years, we as Tomczak Stanislavski Marketing, we've been helping lawyers from Poland and abroad in their marketing, in their communication and strategy, as you, Mykyta, said. And we are actually a creative agency of in-house team. And we've been helping in these main three areas of strategy, design, and full scope marketing. And I think in the last 10 plus years of experience, we gathered quite about insights that I'd like to share with you today. So we'll be talking about legal tech, but in the verge of marketing and employer branding, because it's very, very important. And speaking of branding, today I will use the example of Italian law firm, Handmade Studio Legale. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but we'll use them as an example. But let's start with an important question. Why do you even use technology in law firm? Because from what I've heard and the research I made, there's one main reason why technology is being used. And it's because lawyers just want to make more money. By working in new ways, they want to work faster, more efficient, with less mistakes, sometimes with less people. They want to work cheaper, with better insights, especially when they can combine a lot of data in their research, in their work, and of course, with better results for their clients. And you're totally aware of this, that law firms spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year for their technology and legal specific technology. Even in the legal industry, we have a few unicorns, the companies that their evaluation is over $1 billion. But at the same time, research shows that 70% of change initiatives generally in businesses fail. And this is studied by McKinsey and Company. So I think that may be pretty reliable even for our legal industry. So given that with legal tech, you're taking so much risk in this risk-averse industry, and on the other hand, you made this investment, I think it's better to make it work for you more than once. So that's why I'd like to share with you today at least 8 new ways of using legal tech. And there will be a bonus at the end, but please stay here with us for about 40-45 minutes so I can share all these ideas with you. And I hope you'll get inspired. But speaking of technology, you probably have it already implemented or you're planning to implement it in the near future. So on the contrary, we'll talk about people, because there are 2 main groups of people that actually make your legal business work. And these are clients and your team. Clients give you the money and team lets you work for these clients. You can make a division that you use marketing towards your clients and employer branding towards your team. But what I actually see from the experience is that these both topics blend together. So you shouldn't try to figure out which one is more important. And it's the same with clients and your team. They're both of same importance. And it's kind of a egg and chicken dilemma. I mean, there's no reason to find out which one should go first. But I'll start from clients. And probably if you have at least some experience in marketing and communication, I think your communication so far may have been somewhere along those lines.
This is Rocher. We have a logo, just like any other law firm. We know the law very well, but so do other top-tier law firms. We have meeting rooms. We serve fresh coffee and fine chocolates to our clients. We dress sharp and behave professionally. We always put the client's interest first. But none of these things make us different from most other law firms. But we are different, our clients say. They say we add value. Why are we better at it than other law firms, you may ask? There are more than 250 reasons why. Our people, they are what makes us. Not just another law firm. This is Rocher.
Right. So you may have used this kind of communication, which is everywhere in the legal industry. Then you may have used something, what I call the badges of honor. So using Legal 500 logos, Chambers and Partners logos as something that distinguishes you from the legal pack. I think it's the high time, it's the ranking season at the moment. So we will see more and more of this in law firms communication. You may have used your office pets, maybe your hobbies, but with all this, there's one thing missing. And this is the main topic of our conversation today. So the thing missing is the technology. And it's not about telling your clients that you use Microsoft Word. It's not even about telling them that you use certain tools or that you should boast about brands that you're using. But there's actually one important question that you should ask yourself, because your client asked this question on their own. And this goes by such an abbreviation, which means what's in it for me? Because actually your clients, if you want them to care about you using technology, you should tell them what's there for them. Because otherwise it will look like on this meme, legal tech, no thanks, less money for lawyers, sure, bring it on. So coming to, from this, we can move on to the communication you can use as a law firm. And we'll get back to the first question I asked. Why did you invest in technology? And I think this list should ring a bell, because this is the reasons that we actually want to use technology. And 6 out of these 7 reasons are a perfect start for communication. Because you may tell your clients that, hey, dear client, we work faster for you because we use technology. Our work is more efficient because we use certain solutions. We make less mistakes because there's less human error involved in here. We even work cheaper. If your competitive advantage is price, then you can go for it because you may be doing this much better in these terms. You may have better insights, as I said, especially with bulk document processing. This is the way to go. And of course, if you can show your clients a better result that you get with technology, they'll be more than happy to listen about this, because this is what makes your law firm stand out from the crowd. And you can use all these communication in different formats. It can be certain case studies, it can be comparison studies, like you will show that we used to work in a way X and now we work in a way Y. Or you can show them certain processes of how technology affects your work and results. And here's a simple example from our consulting work. It's a very simple diagram showing the whole model of cooperation. And you don't have to squeeze your eyes into the screen. It's not about these details, but about simplicity of the whole diagram. And it may be followed up with a 10-page document. Then I can follow it up with an hour-long conversation. And it's only about the way we work. It's not about all the details that are involved there. And you can use such approach to show your clients that you have done something like this before using technology, that you know what you're charging them for, and even using the right wording for the client or for the industry, you make them sure that actually you are a perfect fit as a law firm. And for us, when talking to our clients, we even tell them that we schedule meetings in a way that takes into consideration that they might be in court. So you can do similar thing towards your client, and you're just showing your way of conduct. And of course, looking at something like this makes the whole process and the whole idea of legal tech more tangible for your clients. But there's another thing you can use with clients, and this is a pricing model. And you can build your whole pricing model or billing model on technology. But there's a certain correlation between billable hours and technology. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but actually billables don't like technology. And most of the law firms that I'm aware of, they just use billable hours as their basic pricing model. And why is this? Because if you use technology, you probably work faster. And if you work faster, you make less billables. Of course, maybe you want to lie to your clients and make these billables up. But if you don't, it may be a really good idea to build a completely different pricing strategy and then tell your clients that you're not doing like you're not working like all the other law firms, but you have different approach to that topic. And speaking of approach, as far as I'm concerned, clients don't approach lawyers for fun. And there's, of course, some pain involved. And in marketing, there's a thing called pain points. And the pain points are the reasons and moments that make your client approach you as a service provider. And you should listen very carefully to your client, because when they're describing their problem and describing their case, you may find out a lot of details that you can address with technology and then make your prospecting process successful, and you can be signed for the case. So a few examples. Let's say your client says, Mr. X, you have to handle this case personally. And then you can address it by saying, sure, technology allows us to spend more time on building relations. You don't have to do all these little mundane tasks. Other is, my previous law firm lost my data stored in their cloud. And of course, kind of funny approach is, I see you have quite an experience with technology. Here's how we care about security. And for such client, the way you care about security may be even more important than the way you actually work in the service you provide. And there's one more example. I don't like these new apps. I feel overwhelmed, which is, I think it will be more and more common in this world when we are all packed with new information and new solutions. So we can just tell them, I just want you to know that this is the way we work and it's more efficient, and then you will pay less than going to our competitors. Because let's assume that most of your clients are rational and they will care if you'll give them such information. And if they don't care, you should at least make them feel good. And in terms of these pain points and the communication I mentioned before, you can use it both for current and prospective clients, because actually, even with your ongoing client and ongoing service, you're still selling them your service every single month. So you can use it again and again. You can use this type of communication both for your current and prospective clients, and you can actually make it a part of your unique selling proposition. I think you may be aware of this term. USP, or unique selling proposition, is a group of values and reasons that your prospective clients should hire you. And let me show you an example how you can actually do it. So you may remember that I mentioned the handmade Studio Legale, and they changed their tagline in their communication for such. So handmade, but only after hours. Right? So it's the wordplay with technology and the name and visuals, of course. So you can even have this vibe of the work-life balance, supporting of employees, and a little sense of humor. But it's definitely a way to go, and I'm just leaving this for you as an inspiration. But I think we can talk about the other group of people that actually help you to run your law firm, which is your team. And working with your team in terms of legal tech is, we could touch many different areas like change management, team management, and so on. But I'd like to start from recruitment, because before this presentation, before this webinar, I took a look at several dozen of job postings here in Poland and abroad. And in my life, I have seen probably hundreds of thousands of them, and they look more or less the same. So there's a law firm name, name of position, and then you read what they can offer you. So it looks more or less like this. So interesting projects, diverse range of cases. You can gain experience in a law firm with an established position. They give you a chance of continuous development, and there will be a friendly working atmosphere. It's all looks pretty. Then on top of that, some of these law firms throw a few benefits, maybe bar membership fees, which this bar is not the one that you will get free pint every Friday, unfortunately. But then they will give you medical fee, life insurance, fitness cards, and so on. But then there's still nothing about technology. So none of these law firms, even the ones that are tech savvy and they want to have forward-thinking lawyers, they don't tell you that you will use technology as a benefit. And I think this is an important point that you can take out from today's webinar, is that you can make the use of technology a benefit in your law firm, because you may become a tech-driven law firm, then you will give certain training out of that, and it may become something that will distinguish you on the market. So let's hop to handmade Studio LEGALE. So they actually did something like this. We're looking for an experienced lawyer. We'll provide tools and training to support your work and make it count. Are you ready to try something different? I mean, it looks completely different from what we have just seen a minute ago. And of course, it translates to less mundane tasks, more time to think. You can skip most of administrative work, and you'll get hands-on tech training. So really, it amazes me that most of the law firms just don't do it, just don't focus on that way of working. But they also used it in their communication, and they used the same tagline as before. So handmade, but only after hours. So we can use it, use the same communication in your HR activities and employer branding. But actually, what's very important here is that making legal tech part of your company is a two-way street, because among all these job posts I reviewed, none of them requested a knowledge of legal tech. Like none, even those tech-savvy law firms, none of them requested any proficiency in that matter. And I was really wondering how it's even possible, with all this discussion around legal tech going on for years and years now, that no one requires this from the lawyers, from candidates. So I think another important thing is that you can make legal tech a requirement in your recruitment process, because this will show you, this will show the candidate that you're tech-driven, that you care about change, that they have to be ready to change, and all in all, it may be an important point in candidate evaluation. So I think it's a really good idea to think about it that way. And of course, there's a certain thing you have to bear in mind, that there will be a syndrome or a situation I would call new hire problems. Because let's say you're hiring for talent, not for mindset. And what if this great talent, the person with a lot of legal knowledge, a lot of experience, who even brings clients, what if they have problem with using the most basic technology? I mean, what if they're used to different type of work? They want to dictate all their letters, emails, or drafts to an assistant. I don't mean AI assistant, I mean human assistant. And what's even more difficult, that they may be resistant to change in that matter. So imagine that you want to change into a tech-driven law firm, and you have a great talent who is just stopping you in the middle of the way. So I think you have to think about this really a lot, and make sure if this is the right person for your team, and if they align with your law firm and with the culture you want to have. But you come from different legal backgrounds, and you may say, okay, I'm not recruiting, I'm just struggling to keep my team together. So let's switch to your current team. Because in all the demanding times that we have now, both in Ukraine and around the world, your lawyers may be just tired, they may be overworked. They may be willing to change roles. They may be willing to change countries or profession even. And some of them may be anxious about technology. So, and on the other hand, everyone is talking about, use legal tech, invest in technology. And even though it may be really tempting, just please don't throw tools at them, because this is probably the worst thing you can do. Just buy licenses, tell everyone to install it, and then leave them alone. And I found a study, it's a few years old, but I think it may be informative, that a person who is well trained in their using certain tools gives over 200% more income. So it amazed me, because I didn't know that there's such difference. And of course, all your team members are grown-ups, but they just may need a fresh perspective. And some of the law firms approach communicating new initiatives, new technology, the way they would do in IKEA, like, here's technology, these are the tools, just go for and use it. But then it's not that simple. And as I said, 218% of higher income per trained employee, it just makes a lot of difference. So instead of throwing the tools at your team, you have to figure out a way of showing them that these new tools and new way of working gives them new opportunities, because they will be able to do maybe even different type of work, because they wouldn't have to spend so much time on this mundane task. They can just switch to more complex issues. It will give them new skills, and I would say even new mindset, because we have seen dramatic change in technology in the last decade, and I think it will be even faster and faster in upcoming years, even with all this AI and ChatGPT hype going on in recent months. And then they will have just more impact, because they can, as I said, they can focus on more valuable work, and they will just pay attention to these things, not only just sitting by the desk or staring at the screen. But please remember that you should treat your team members as your client in many regards, but especially in asking the same question. And your team members will ask, what's in it for me question. Because if you approach them with a new technology project or new tool project, they will be interested in how it will affect my work in terms of time, scope, responsibilities. And you better have all the answers in place before rolling out, because otherwise you may be you may have a problem in communication and with people who let you run the company. The other question is that, are there any new tasks involved? I mean, new tools, new things just bring more and more tasks, and it will probably take some time for you and your staff to get rid of them. Your team members would like to know if there's anything I can take my hands off, because they may think that this is what technology is all about. And if this is the case, just let them know exactly what you will take from them. And of course, who will benefit from this change. And in terms of benefit, it may be a benefit for them in terms of monetary benefit, or they will have more time, or the law firm will benefit from this, and then you'll be able to invest in other areas. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to your individual situation, but I think you should think about this in advance. And of course, there are few things to consider here as well in terms of broader change management regarding tech. That, of course, you should have a well-planned implementation, but this is kind of a vague statement. But then I really encourage you to make room for failure, because you cannot expect that all your team will get a new tool and they will keep the 100% efficiency as they did before using new tool, because they will need time for training, they will need time to play with this tool, to think about new ways of cooperation with clients. But then definitely do it. Combine it with adjusted planning. Like, don't try to squeeze as many hours in your work when you're using new tool, especially at the beginning. And the thing which is probably the saddest for law firm owners is that you have to prepare for less billable hours at the beginning, because your team will just work less unless you'd like them to stay in your law firm after hours. But all this being said, you can just make legal technology and use of legal technology a part of your law firm's culture. And I think there are some examples of law firms that already have their technology in their DNA. They just don't communicate it very well, but it's definitely a place for you to stand out and to communicate it, and to stand out both as a business and as an employer. And I'm certain that legal technology has much to offer than just making you work like superhumans. I think it can help you both in terms of business and relationships. You just have to look at it much differently. And there's a certain group of your current employees or team members that may be willing to change roles or willing to change companies, because they're not sure if you're going towards the path of technological improvement. And that's why, and this is a group that you can use a technology as a reason to stay for them. Because if you will roll out a legal tech initiative and you will communicate it constantly, then they will see that actually you're willing to change and that you're ready to invent yourself from the very beginning. Of course, there is still a question: what to do if someone is reluctant to change? Like, what if they work like these new hires? How should you treat them? I mean, it's hard to give a general answer, but I would say that given the change in recent years, we all have to be ready for more changes in the near future, and then your team should be ready to change their mindset. And I think this is the future of legal industry, of legal recruitment, that you should not only look for talent, you should just look for mindset, as I said. So I talked about these new ways of using legal tech, both in marketing and employer branding. I have some bonus for you, because we mentioned marketing and employer branding, but there's actually one group of people, one group of businesses that can help you with all the change. And these are the vendors, the companies that sell you all these tools, all these solutions. And for many years now, with my all great respect for them, because they're doing a great job, and I know some of them, they're just supplying you with new tools, but not giving that much in addition. But I encourage you to ask your vendors to provide you with some kind of input that you can use towards your client and towards your team. And it's not about this basic onboarding training, like, you know, click here, click there, or you can set it up in a certain way. But I mean about maybe some kind of white papers about how technology can change the relation between business or a client and the law firm, or how the new employee onboarding can be different using legal tech. And probably there are many different ideas we can work on, but definitely I encourage you to push your vendors, your suppliers to do it, because then they will actually start giving you a certain value beside from these tools that you have installed in your cloud or on your devices. And there's one more thing with vendors that you can, if you're choosing new technology or new solution, you can look at the vendors and evaluate their proposals based on this. So if they will give you something more than just a tool, because all in all, some solutions are comparable, and if they will go some extra mile and provide you with something extra, I think it's worth the money. And preparing for this webinar today, we exchanged some emails with Mykyta, and he asked me to talk about maybe ChatGPT or the AI, and I gave it a thought. And you may be all wondering, why am I not talking about the artificial intelligence or the ChatGPT? But regarding this topic today, so using legal tech in marketing and employer branding, I see this as another piece of technology. And what I suggest is to start using the technology you already have in place, the technology that is industry specific, because otherwise it's looking like you're looking for a candy through a shop window, and you have some healthy meal already on the table, and you're not paying attention to it. So I know that it may be controversial, but I would put the AI to the side for a bit, and then I'll encourage you to take some healthy takeaways from this presentation today. So talking about takeaways, let's go through all these cues that I gave you today. So using legal tech in marketing, you can definitely explain to your clients why the use of technology matters. And I think it will be eye-opening for some of them. You can justify your pricing model with technology, or by the fact that you're using technology. You can address the pain points, which may be a game changer in your proposal and offering process. And then I really encourage you to make the technology part of your unique selling proposition. So actually a part of your communication. And in terms of employer branding, I think you can make it a benefit, but you can make it a requirement at the same time. And you can make it a reason to stay for your current team members. And after all, if you will do it right, then it will become just a part of your culture, of the culture of your law firm or legal department. And just to end, I'm just wondering how many of you Googled handmade Studio Legale during the presentation. You may answer in the chat, but I have to admit that I made it up. So it's not a true company. I just wanted to show you I just made it up to show you the examples. So I made up the logo, even though I'm not a designer. I made up the stories, even though I'm not a communication specialist. But as you can see, it's not about tools and just about certain mindset and creativity. And sometimes you may just look for the unexpected, like here with the name handmade, but only after hours. Just to wrap it up, I wish you this. So looking for the unexpected, and I wish you creativity in using your legal tech in a few ways you may now think of. And remember about pushing your vendors. So thank you very much for your time. I'll be happy to take your questions now, and I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. And once again, sorry for the technical inconveniences.
Yeah, thank you for this great presentation. It's really interesting. And I just like to remind our participants that you can ask questions using our chat in Zoom. And I have already one question for you, Jacek. How can lawyers differentiate themselves from competitors in a crowded market?
Okay, so it's a quite broad question, or I think we could have a single webinar on it. But what I would say is the first way to do it is to find your, think of the certain specialty you have. It may be an area of law, it may be serving a certain industry, like, I don't know, automotive or furniture designers or whatever, creative agencies. It may be in terms of geography. So you can be a very good local law firm. It will be a general law firm. You can be, the best law firm in Ukraine or in a certain region. So just start from the point of telling yourself and then your clients what makes you special and what you can actually do for your clients. Then on top of that, think about who your clients are. Because even if you're a business law firm, it's not that you're serving everyone from a solopreneur to a company that's listed on New York Stock Exchange. There's really a lot of in between. So make sure you have your perfect target audience. You may not be there at the moment, but at least think of this kind of clients. And the first thing I said would be, don't be afraid in terms of communication. I mean, most of the law firms I see in Poland and abroad, they all communicate the same way. Like you've seen in this Rocher movie, which is quite good, but it's all the same. Like we always put the client interest first, even with this fine chocolates and coffee served to a client. It's all the same, and just try to be different, and don't be afraid of this. As far as the ethics regulation goes, and you comply with that, then you're free to go, because after all, you're serving different people, and even if you're working with business, still people are making decisions. So yeah, definitely this three things.
Yeah, thank you. And to your opinion, how can legal tech help law firms improve their marketing and branding efforts?
Well, so I think it's so on the contrary, I think it's not a good idea to sell your proposals or offers straight from your document management system, or to try to use it in any crazy way that it's not designed to. But as I said today, legal tech will not be the only reason why your client will hire you. but you can make it a strong point of your proposal. And if you have this certain target groups and you have the service that you want to give to your clients, and you have at least some trust among your clients and your prospective clients, then you can tell them that on top of this, you're using technology in the ways that I explained today. So just maybe one more example that I would share. You can have maybe some client referrals regarding specifically technology. Like let's say Zhukov law firm, family law office uses technology, and that's why they helped me to sign my documents remotely, because I couldn't make it to the court or to a certain administration building. And of course, this is a small piece, and probably you should combine many more of them, but this may be a reason why someone would use your service instead of the other.
Mm-hmm. How can legal tech be used to improve the client experience and enhance customer satisfaction, maybe?
So this is really an important topic. I'm glad you brought it up, because there's a whole range of client experience and even something different from marketing. But there are more. Every day we use certain services, like we use, I don't know, Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, and so on and so on. And we are all used to the fact that they work seamlessly, they work fast, the communication is simple, not simplistic, but simple. And they use plain language. You can buy things with one click. You have onboarding process and so on. So you can take all these things and put it to work for your law firm. And of course, you won't become an Amazon or any other big service provider overnight, and maybe it's not even your the way you should do. But definitely, you as a law firm, you compete for time with other services. And if your service is the worst, like you're making it the hardest to use, no one will love you. And so definitely looking at different greatly designed services is a good way to get some inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. What advice would you give to law firms looking to incorporate legal tech or maybe legal design, for instance, into their marketing and branding strategies?
So I would say, first of all, make sure these new elements align with the general philosophy of your law firm. So let's say if you want to be perceived as a traditional law firm, because it may be interesting for your client base, then make sure it's not, blinky everywhere, and you'll be having, I don't know, digital screen in your background, or you'll be using them even in your visuals. Just make sure it all stays the same. On the other hand, if you want to be perceived as an innovative law firm, or generally as innovative business, just make sure it all looks so natural that finally your clients wouldn't even notice that you are so innovative. So I always like to compare it to these remote vacuum cleaners, like it's called Roomba or something like this. The ones that are flat and they're just riding around your flat and vacuuming everywhere. And I think legal design and legal tech should work like this. So you're excited at the beginning, and then after some time, you just walk into the room or walk into the law firm, and then you know that there's something different, something works, but you don't know why. And I think we should all strive for this. And a great example for such a service, such tool is, I don't know, text editors like Microsoft Word. Like people were so excited about this, 30, 35 years ago, and then no one cares. Like you're so used to using text editor that it's not a big deal. So probably try to make it as least visible as possible, and tell clients and answer the client's question, like what's in it for them.
Yeah, and to your mind, does we have presently competition between traditional law firms and between innovation law firms? Like without offices, because I know that some legal firm doesn't have office, and some firm doesn't have workers, only freelance job.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing, and on the other hand, we have to make sure that we're all aware of the companies called alternative services providers, or ALSP, alternative legal service providers. And actually, law firms will be, or are already competing against them. So it's not your law firm against my law firm, but it's your law firm against my law firm and tens or hundreds of other companies that can do most of these services seamlessly and within few clicks of a button, or maybe they will be using AI in the near future. And then I still think there's room for both of these groups, because there will be some clients in some service areas that they'll be willing to use traditional firms, and there will be others that want to do it all automatically or semi-automatically, because let's say they're afraid of talking to anyone. They just prefer to type on their keyboard, and this is different. And of course, you can use it even if you're such a traditional law firm, you can use it in your communication, in your marketing, and tell your clients, like, everyone is switching to digital, and actually you can come to our office, which is located in place X, Y, and Z, and we'll be happy to sit down with you, talk to you. And this is what the AI research shows, that the thing that people lack in contact with AI is actually this human touch, a bit of empathy. If you'll ask ChatGPT about empathy, I mean, probably you'll get this one of these default answers, like, I'm here to serve you with the best information based on what you can find on the internet. But there will be no really emotional feedback on this. So yes, no matter which road you take, I think there's good room for interesting communication.
No, yeah, thank you. Could you share with us your vision about transformation of legal market, especially if we speak about legal market in Poland, maybe in your country presently, you'll have legal design or legal tech legal company more than a traditional legal firm. I mean that some trends to innovation legal firm. What do you think about it?
So I'm not that kind of visionary, so I'll maybe kind of withdraw from this question. But what I see, and I've been observing this industry for around 15 years now, and I can definitely see more and more impact on, or more and more interest in business side of legal business. And what I mean by this is most lawyers in Poland are pretty aware of the fact that the clients won't come out of nowhere, that they have to work hard to get this client, and they have to work even harder to keep this client in their firms. And in, I don't know, probably 80-90% of my conversation with lawyers when I ask them, where do your clients come from? They always say, oh, from referrals or recommendations. And I'm completely fine with this, but in the meantime, you have to help these recommendations and you have to be in your clients' minds. So I see definitely the expansion of marketing, different types of marketing, or different social media platforms. All of them are being tried by different law firms. Of course, the COVID changed a lot in terms of conferences and meetings. I think some people are even tired with online meetings now, and they want to switch to in-person meetings because they just crave for these personal relations. There is a lot of discussion about legal tech. There's even a legal tech institute constituted by the Polish Bar Association, which shows the gravity of this topic. There are legal design initiatives, but it's all like with legal tech, legal design, legal marketing. We should all talk not only about the fact that it is there, but we should talk about the way you can actually use it. So I'm really grateful that you have such initiative like these webinars, that you had very interesting speakers before talking about legal design like Anne, or you had this guest from Thomson Reuters, because we all share certain insights, but not about the tool, but about implementation of these tools and the way of thinking that's needed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this webinar. It was exciting and nice to meet you, nice to talk to you. It was great. Thank you, Jacek. And
thank you for having me. Thank you for your time. And as I said, if any of the participants or the people watching it in the future have any questions to me, just please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to answer them.